nice for the picture. But yeah, so what we'll do is we'll have where's Patrice? Yeah, so like I said, next week we'll finish off the fraud section. I've invited someone from the RCMP to come and talk to us for the first hour, and then we'll have the graduation after that. So let's start by talking about things happening in the news. What's been going on? Go ahead.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. What happened to Bitcoin?
Yeah, they're talking about it's collapsing. The Bitcoin collapse is spread with hundreds of coins flagging in value.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, okay. So why is that?
Like most of the Bitcoin investors are like thinking maybe twice because of it's dropping down.
Okay, but why is it dropping down? There's a reason why it's dropping down. There's a reason why.
I heard like 2 weeks ago there is this like 40. I couldn't remember if it's 40 billion or million that's been taken from the Korean company.
Okay, so what's happening is we're going to talk about cryptocurrencies actually tomorrow night in level 2. But what's happening with cryptocurrencies is that there's a regulation coming around it, because there hasn't been, right? And if you remember last year, Bitcoin went like crazy. A lot of the coins went up, and now they've come down. And because countries are going around and they want to put regulations around it because it's uncontrolled. Okay, so what happens is that the price goes down, and then if the technology, which is the blockchain technology, continues to get better, which it is, and which companies are wanting to use, there's actually going to be a market for different Bitcoins. Now, Bitcoin may not be the one that makes it in the end, who knows? But this is very similar to what happened with the dot-com bubble. Remember in the 90s, late 90s? Everybody was going crazy because they were going to make all this money on the internet, right? And then what happened? It went down. But out of that, what came out of that? Okay, who came out of that? Google. Facebook. Amazon. Okay, and where are they today? Exactly. So, don't think that Bitcoin, or not just Bitcoin, don't think that coins are gone or the blockchain technology is gone. All it's done is taken a huge correction, which you needed to have. But out of that, you just watch. In the last 10 years, if we could get together and say, remember when we were talking about that on that last class? Okay, there's going to be coins. We don't know which ones they are. It could be Bitcoin.
And competition too.
I'm sorry?
Another company, not only Bitcoin, and another company.
Yeah, other coins. Other coins. We don't know which coins are going to be the ones that are going to be dominant. I mean, Bitcoin will be probably one of them because they've been around the longest, but there's other ones that are coming out that are using the blockchain technology that allow processing to happen. Like I've been just reading quite a bit up on it, and almost a lot of companies I'm reading about, they're going to be adopting the blockchain technology. Okay, so it's a dip. It's a good time to buy, right? When everybody thinks that it's going to collapse, that's the time to buy, right? But we never do it. The reason why is because we're scared, because we think it's going to collapse even more. You did what? You bought? Good. 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 I congratulate you. We're going to have a party at your house in 10 years. Yeah. Hey, no, but that's good. Anything else? What else is happening?
I just saw in the Facebook, like there's a spill of crude somewhere here in Canada. I don't know.
U.S.
Oh, U.S. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And
still 870,000.
Yeah. So interesting. Okay, it's an oil spill, and what happened?
it will affect the business.
Okay, no, but why? Where did the oil spill from? From where?
In the field.
Okay, but from where? Where did the oil come from?
Middle East, Russia,
No,
Venezuela.
no. I guess what I'm getting at, not where did it originally come from. I'm asking, on what was it transported? Train.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a train.
So it was on a train.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and what's happening is because of less pipeline use, what's happening is that companies are transporting the oil by train. And we all know what happened in Quebec a few years ago. In Lac, what's it called? Lac. It's a French name.
Something.
So it's a small town, but I mean, it almost got destroyed, right? So it shows about the problems with transporting oil. But if that was a pipeline, you wouldn't have the same problems, right? Okay. Anything else? I saw an ad last couple of days, like almost every day, on Uber. Uber is now advertising.
They got their new license, we want them now.
Okay, they got but they're advertising that they got new leadership, so they changed out a lot of their management because they had some problems around the way they were treating people. And now, watch out, Uber is advertising.
So Uber, what kind of company? Like as a taxi company or taxi company or what?
They're advertising as a taxi company. Yeah. And they're talking about all the different technologies that they have. So now you recognize the person. So now I think you get a picture of your driver
Okay.
sent to you. And then there's recognition, all this kind of stuff that goes on. Now you can actually, once the Uber driver picks you up, you can automatically send something to anybody or your friends or family that shows you where you're going.
It's
Right?
more safer.
More safer, right? So they're changing the whole experience around the Uber ride. Okay? And wait till they have the autonomous vehicles where nobody's picking you up. So you don't need to worry. You just then the only thing you'll have to worry about the people in the car with you. Right? Maybe they'll do a security check on the people going into the vehicle.
It is so cool because my daughter was, she ordered from Skip the Dish.
Right?
And it was so funny because she said, oh, he's picking up my food. Oh, he's in this room. And I was like, are you serious? She said, yeah, show me the map. I can see the car. Where's
My
the-
egg roll is coming down the street. Yeah. No, interesting. Technology is getting incredible. And I mean, you just look 5 years ago where we are today. Imagine another 5 years from now, right? We're just talking about autonomous vehicles. We talked about it in level 2, and we talk about it like it's coming. It's actually here, right? At Suncor, they're starting to use autonomous vehicles, trucks, heavy haulers, okay? And it's not perfect yet because when they developed the technology, it was really meant for straight driving on a highway, right? Without going over, and not in the winter, right? In California. Well, their technology is changing. They'll get to a point where those vehicles will work very well up here in Fort McMurray in an oil sand plant. And then what's going to happen? Well, it changes jobs, not less jobs. That particular occupation may change, right? So you won't need heavy equipment operators as many, but now those heavy equipment operators can be retrained to be mechanics, right? Because you still need mechanics. You're going to need a lot of mechanics to take care of these autonomous vehicles, right? So every time there's a disruption, remember, all it means is that, yeah, it's going to change certain industries, certain occupations, but all it means is that those people have to take on new skills if they want to. So if they're not lazy and they go back to school and learn a new skill, there's lots of jobs available. Okay? Good. Okay, so we're going to start talking about the subject, which is on fraud. Okay. So we're on page 259. So fraud is lying or stealing to get money. Fraudsters may tell you something false to get you to send them money. They may steal your personal information to take your money. And there's many kinds of fraud. Some happen when you believe a lie. Some can happen without you doing anything. Fraudsters will say anything to trick you. They're usually polite and friendly. They will keep pushing you until you say yes. Okay. So identity theft. So this is one of the ways that fraud happens is identity theft. And we've been talking about identity theft through lesson 3, I think, when we talked about credit, right? If people can steal your identity, they're going to defraud you. Okay. So identity theft happens when someone else pretends to be you. They may get a loan or a credit card in your name or take money from your bank account. They use your information, such as your social insurance number, your credit card number, to pretend that they are you. And it can take years to fix your credit if identity theft happens to you, right? And what was her name last week?
Spencer.
Spencer from Canadian government talked to us about that, right? You need to make sure that you kind of check your credit report all the time to ensure that nobody's doing that. So usually identity thieves get their information from you. They either trick you into giving them your credit card, expiry date, bank account numbers, passwords, or your SIN number, which you shouldn't have to give out your SIN number to anyone unless it's a financial institution, right? Or unless you're going for a job, because they have to send the slips to Revenue Canada. Okay. They may pretend to be your bank, the government, a store, an online auction site like eBay, or your credit card company. If you're looking for a job, they may pretend to be an employer. Identity thieves can hide their real number and even make it look like they're calling you from a real company or government office or on your call display. So you got to be very careful about it. They may call or leave you a voice message, which is called phishing. Okay, they ask you to tell them your personal information to use, your telephone keypad to enter your social insurance number, credit card number, or bank password. They may also send you a letter or an email. That's called phishing. They may make a fake website that looks like the real website. We talk about that. A lot of companies or defrauders, they replicate another company, and it looks exactly like the real company, but may have just instead of .com, may have something else, and it has an unbroken key or a lock in the browser window, and that means that it's not secure. Okay. They may put an ad in the newspaper or on a website. An email from an identity thief may have a link to it. When you click on that link, it takes you to another website and asks you to put in your information. So once you click on a link, and this is why you have to be very careful about clicking on links when you get emails, because you don't know where it's taking you from there. And it can take you to a totally different site where then they collect all your information. So you got to be very careful. If you don't recognize, I'm getting into the habit. At Syncrude, we have like our IT department sends out fake kind of emails and links, and you'd be amazed at how many people just click on it, and you get a report that goes to your manager, because you're actually putting the company at risk, right? So And it's amazing how many of these things look like, especially when you're at work, right? And you're just going through all these emails and you're thinking, I got to get through all this stuff. It's easy to click on something and you get back a report saying, you know what? You click on something that could be potentially dangerous. So imagine in your own personal life, when you're going through the hundreds of emails sometimes that you get over a week or two, and you're just clicking on everything. Okay, if you don't recognize the name, you got to be very careful. I'm not saying never open it, but be very careful because you don't know where that's coming from. It may have a telephone number for you to call. Often fake emails have a warning that your account will be closed or someone has used your account, right? The other one is that banks don't send you emails. Right? Exactly, to typically phones that have double authentication a lot of time, right? They don't send you emails. So if you get an email from a bank, be very careful. Phone the number that's on there and ask for, what they want, but go to your credit card or your bank card and use that number and say, when was it? About a couple of months ago, my dad was telling me that he got a call from the Toronto Dominion Bank. And it was around, they wanted some information. So he just gave it to them right over the phone. And then after, he kind of thought about it and said, I don't even know who they were. So he phoned TD and TD said, no, we would never do that. We would authenticate you, all those type of things before you have to give us any information. So you got to be careful because people are getting very, very sneaky in the way they get that information from you. They may steal your purse or wallet. This often happens at work, in crowds, or in public transportation. Right over here, they may use electronic machine called a skimmer to take. I don't know. Is this the old? Whatever it is. It goes back and forth on the things here. Yeah. They may use electronic machine called a skimmer. Just go to that. Okay. To take your personal information from your credit card at a restaurant or a bank machine, and then they use this information to make a fake credit card. Okay, so that's how sort of it works. Duplicate card reading machine is placed over the existing one. The device reads your card, and then they remove the device and download your information. It kind of happens very quickly, and it's happened in quite a few banks in Canada and the States. They may also watch to get your PIN. They may change your address with creditors or utilities to get your information sent to them. This is a big one that's becoming pretty popular, is that they pretend to be you and they can sell your house or get a mortgage on your house or another property. It's called title fraud. And now I was listening to the radio in the States. Not only do they have credit alert services where you can check your credit all the time, but now they have it for title fraud too, because it's happening so much. Okay. So the important thing here is to protect your identity, and you can protect it. It's very valuable. Sometimes I think we think of it as just information, but that information is worth a lot to people, and they can do a lot of damage. Keep the amount of personal information in your purse or wallet to a minimum. Okay? So women that have big purses, it's not so you can put all your personal information in it. Okay? Better to just put perfume and cosmetics and all that stuff and leave your personal information at home. Right? Keep as little as possible in your purse. Okay? Don't carry extra credit cards. This is important. Okay? How many credit cards do you need when you go out shopping? Right? Your SIN card. The lady Spencer talked about it last week. Okay? You shouldn't be carrying your SIN card with you. Your birth certificate. You shouldn't have to have that with you. Or your passport. right? The only time you should be carrying your passport if you're sometimes, sorry,
Uh-huh.
when you're traveling in some countries, you have to actually carry your passport with you. You got to be careful about that. You got to have to understand that. Sometimes what I do is I just make copies of that first page and keep that in my wallet. Okay, but it depends on the country you're going to. But when you're doing that, you're carrying your passport. Guess what? You got a risk that you might lose it. And if you lose it in another country, you're going to be in trouble. Okay. Only give your SIN, like we said, when it is necessary. Ask to use other ID if you can. Okay. People shouldn't be asking you for your social insurance number again, unless it's a financial institution or a potential employer. Okay. When it comes to your PIN, don't use numbers that are easy to guess for your PIN, and don't write them down anywhere. And I know this is difficult because we have PINs now for everything that we use, right? Change your PIN and passwords often. Easier said than done, right? It's kind of hard because it depends on what you're signing up for. Some passwords you need to use, for example, no symbols. Others you need to, so it gets confusing. So sometimes you can't even use, right, the same password. But you need to ensure that you kind of keep those changed. Keep your hand or body to keep other people from seeing the numbers for bank machines, direct bank machines, or long distance phone cards. If you think someone else knows your PIN, change it. Okay. Debit and credit cards. When you get a new card, sign the back right away. When you use a debit or credit card, watch the person during the transaction. Check when you get the card back to make sure that it's yours. You remember when you used to just give your card to the waiter or waitress and they used to just go in the back? They used to just scare me, right? Because that's where fraud happens. You don't know what they're doing back there. Now, at least with the machines, they come out and you can actually, you put the card in and it's, in front of you. But, who knows when, if they do something. When you get your card back, this is important. Make sure that it's yours. Make sure you get your card back in the first place. I've done that a couple of times where did I eat last? Right? I better run there and go get my card. Check when you get your card again. When you get your card back, make sure it's yours. Sometimes fraudsters keep your card and give you a fake one back. Right? So if you don't look at your card and you think, yeah, this is my Visa, you put it in your pocket. Next thing you know, they have your card and you have a fake card that you can't use anywhere. When you travel, keep your cards with you or in a hotel safe. Okay, we've talked a lot about receipts and statements, but always take credit card and bank machine receipts. It's always amazing how many times I go to the ATM and I gotta throw away the last person's receipt. It's like, don't take care, like, don't, it's, put them in your wallet or purse, not in the shopping bag where they can fall out. Check your bank and credit card statements carefully every month. So I don't know how many times we've said that. Because if you don't check, nobody else is going to check for you. When was it? Last week, I checked my credit card statement, and I noticed that a company that I had bought some vitamins from had charged me $150 for two bottles of vitamins, right? So I had bought these vitamins from some company. It was a free sample. So this is what they do. This is a bit of a, it's not fraud, it's not illegal, but it's very deceiving. So what they do is, you get the email and it looks like, oh, okay, supplements. I'm going to look at this. You read the thing for an hour, right? Because it takes an hour to get through everything. You go at the bottom and you say, yeah, I'm going to get it. It's a free trial and it's only paid shipping and handling. Right? That's a good deal, right? So I get 2 bottles for $5, right? and give him your credit card because you have to pay for the shipping and handling, right? So you finally get the products. So I got the products. I hadn't even started using them. And then I go on my credit card and I see pending these two bottles, one for 150 US and another one for 140 US, right? Okay. So I phoned the credit card company right away and they go, okay, well, you got to call the company back because they said what you did is probably agreed when you, at the bottom, that they would send you refills after 17 days. Okay. And I didn't even see that. So that's what I did, right? I agreed. So I called the company, fortunately, out of the United States. You get on the call center, right? And you're explaining to this person that, okay, why am I getting charged for these? And she goes, well, you agreed to this when you got the free samples. Okay, well, I don't want it. Okay, are you sure you don't want it? So then they try to sell you. Well, if we keep it on, because they can't force you to take it, especially if they haven't sent it to you. They can't force you, but they try to sell you on it. So then I try to explain to her that, well, I just got the bottles just the other day. I even haven't had a month to try them because it's a month's supply. So why would I want them again? Because, well, that's the way it works. Da, da, da. And if we don't cancel, I said, no, I don't want it. This is deceptive to me, right? Well, if you do decide today, we're going to give you 50% off that $300 that we charged you. Right? So, no, I don't want to deal with companies like that. Right? That's a form. It's not illegal, right? So, like the credit card company told me, it's not illegal, but it's very deceptive. And this is what a lot of these companies do.
It's hacker.
Well, it's almost like you agreed to it. You didn't read the fine print. It's poor. Exactly. That's what I said. I don't want to deal with you, even if the product works, which I've only taken. Yeah. Well, they're going to make money just by ripping people off that way. Right. So I said, okay, well, I would have thought, okay, let me try the product for a month, and if I like it, I'll buy it, maybe. Right. But it's just, and I don't even remember seeing that. I don't remember seeing that the price was 140 and 160, but I obviously agreed to the terms and conditions. Okay, so you got to just be very careful. My point is that if I hadn't checked my credit card that day, I don't check it every day, but that day it was pending and it would have went through. And once it goes through, then you got to wait until you get the products, and then you got to send it back, which could take 2-3 months, who knows? And they make it very difficult so that you might forget about it, right? That's how these companies make money. So you got to just be very careful. Okay, shredding. Shred any documents with personal information like your signature, your name, an address, statements, receipts, utility bills, credit card applications, insurance forms before you put them in the garbage. There's actually people that go through garbages and look for that information, and from that they can build, an identity. When you get a new document that has identity information, like a driver's license or vehicle registration, shred the old one. Right? I know people I got friends that you look in their glove compartment and they got their pink cards of insurance for the last 20 years. It's like, okay, why are you keeping this? Right? Get rid of it. If your bills don't arrive when you expect them, call the company to make sure that they still have the right address. Okay, telephone calls. Don't give personal information to anyone who calls you. Tell the caller you are going to check the number and call them back yourself. Only give information if you call the number you got from the bill, again, the back of the bank card, or from the telephone book. Nobody uses a telephone book. I don't even know if they make telephone books anymore, do they? Go to the back of the credit card or on the bill statement, and you'll have the right number. If a bank, government, or credit card company calls you, they will ask you by your name, and they will already know your account information and SIN number. Okay? The banks never ask for your SIN number over the phone. They already have that. They don't need that. Okay? We talked about that. They may ask you some questions to check if you are their customer. So don't get upset when they verify you. I know that it's a pain, especially if you go from one operator to another, but they're just trying to make sure that it's you, right? That's good. Okay, let's talk about online. So be careful when shopping online. We talked about this. Buy from stores that you know and trust. Watch for the closed or unbroken key symbol in the browser window before you put in your personal information. If you don't see the lock or key symbol, or if the lock is open or the key is broken, someone else on the internet can get your information. So that's the way it looks like. Got the little lock there. It's closed. After you put in your personal information, log off the website, clear the browser cache, and close the browser window. A lot of people don't do that. And especially if you're using a common computer, laptop, you know, in a hotel, that type of thing. That's how people can get your information if you don't log out and clear that. Get anti-spam, antivirus software for your computer. Install a firewall, keep them up to date. Be careful reading emails with attachments. We talked about that. Don't email personal or financial information. Other people can get access to your email. And don't give your personal information in a link from an email. Okay, any questions on that? Anybody had any experiences with any of those? Go ahead.
It's PayPal.
PayPal? Okay.
Yeah, somebody using my PayPal account and it's different countries.
Right.
And somebody told me that they will have put me in prison or somebody will come take me.
Oh, really? But it was a scam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very scary, but I see in Facebook that there's a lot of people here in Fort Knox experience the same way.
Yeah.
So I said, no, it's not me alone.
Yeah, no, you gotta be careful.
The other people experience with their bank account, but for me, the PayPal.
Yeah. So a lot of people have PayPal. A lot of people have different accounts, and you get an email saying that they have that information on you, and you got to pay, and you got to make sure you should phone PayPal to find out. Don't give information like that over the phone. Okay.
Yeah.
So this one here, here's a sample email that it says that it comes from Revenue Canada, and it looks like it's a real CRA email. How can you tell that it's a fraud? So read this. It says, "Dear taxpayer, you're entitled to your tax refund now. The tax refund is $241. You're required to follow the link below to log in to secure." You guys have a question? Okay. You're required to follow the link below to log into your secure ePass with your social insurance number and complete the required information in order for your refund to be processed. Yours sincerely, Jill from the Department of Revenue Canada. Okay, interesting, right? So the thing you want to look at is, does the organization have my email address? So first of all, as Spencer told us last week, CRA doesn't use email. They correspond with you through letters.
But if you log in for email, they will send you an email.
Okay, but that's because you set up an account. You set up the account,
Yeah.
not anybody else, right? So yeah, you can have a CRA account that you've set up on your own, but that's the only time that they will send you an email. Okay? Is the email addressed to me? And in this case here, it's going to Dear Taxpayer. Okay, that could be anybody. Does the email tell me I will have a problem if I don't act now? Right? There's always the scare tactic, whether it's PayPal, whether it's something with CRA, right? If you don't log in right now, you're going to lose your refund. Does the email ask for information that the organization already has? Exactly. CRA would never ask you for your social insurance number. They're the ones that have it. And this is the big one. Are there mistakes in the email? Well, yeah, it's not called the Department of Revenue. It's called CRA, Canada Revenue Agency. And a lot of these emails, you can tell that they're not real because they got spelling mistakes. So if you know how to spell, you'll realize that some of the words are pretty, because they come from other countries, right? So their English is not as good, so you can tell that it's not written very well or it's misspelled. That's very simple. Okay?
But last week, I had a phone call. Someone said, this is a recording. It's driving to Canada, and I have a suitcase with me because I didn't pay my taxes. And I was like, I was like, for the winter, I had done it.
So that's a scam that's been going around. It goes around in Canada, and it's been going around in the States also with the IRS. And what it is, it's a phone call. And it was kind of funny because do you guys have a question there?
So we just talking about somebody's get like those kind of the call.
Right?
And this is we are calling from CRA, and sometimes we got like you're calling from the police officer and your husband or your whatever.
Right.
They are just captured, and then you have to pay for $10,000 like this. So my one of friend, they got like this kind of call, and she called her husband, and they both have like hacked the number, and they called her daughter, and they just get those money from the iTunes,
Right.
like this.
Yeah, using iTunes to pay.
Yeah.
The big one a couple of years, even last year, was with Bitcoin, where people were told to pay back something using Bitcoin. So people would actually go to a place where you can get Bitcoin and transfer the money, and then once it's sent through Bitcoin, you can't trace it, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Now,
but-
like they just call like the CRA, so that's
Yeah.
why we are just.
Yeah. So the CRA would never contact you that way. Like I said, they contact you through mail. But that's a scam that's been going around with CRA and IRS. And it's kind of interesting because I got a call a couple of months ago, and I called back right away. And, it was like, okay. And they say, this first thing they do is ask me for my name. So I didn't give him my name. I just said something like John Smith. And they said, oh, okay. And did we call you? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, give me a minute, right? And you can tell that he's fumbling around. You can hear a dog in the background, right? So you know it's coming from some other place, some other country, and then comes back and goes, yeah, you have to give us some information. I go, who are you? And he goes, well, I'm from Department of Revenue, right? I go, well, is that CRA? Do you have a badge number? No, I don't have a badge. And so I was getting pretty, and he was getting upset with me. Till finally he just hung up. Right? But for every person that stands up to these guys, there's people that give information. So be careful about that. That goes on all the time where they call you.
So I have a question. Like, for example, in the iTunes thing, because how many times they already deducted something on my iTunes, I don't know who is the person. They keep on saying that they're charging me for the kinds of games,
Right.
which is I did not even play.
Right.
And then
So someone's taken your Apple account, right? And using
how
that.
can I
Well, yeah, you got to change your password, but it's very easy for them, just like the other examples of what we use. If they can have access to your email, right, or to that account number somehow, because you either sent it somewhere or something, that's how they get that
I
account.
just remember because it's like maybe 3 times they deducted something from me, $65 or more, and I even informed some of my friends that I don't know what to do.
Change your credit
Yeah, you
But
change
I
your
tried-
password.
I tried to change my password, but the thing
Change
is,
the credit card that's stored in there.
I remove everything information on the account, but the thing is, I don't know how can I go through with the people.
Well, you're not going to find people. But that's why you got to check if it goes on your credit card, okay, because you said it's on your Apple, on your iCard, your Apple iTunes card. Okay, well then that's something with that particular card. But if it shows up on your credit card, you got to phone the credit card company right away so they can stop it, and they're gonna try to trace it for you. Okay, but with iCards and gift cards and things like that, If they steal that information of your card number, then they're going to have access to that. Okay. So let's talk about scams. Okay, so scams. Many scams promise you something that is often too good to be true. It sounds good, and if it is, sometimes it's a scam. If you answer the letter, email, telephone call, or an ad, the scammers ask you for a fee, an advance payment, or your bank account information. The scammers take your money and you never get what they promise. So, types of scams. So scams can arrive by post, phone call, text message, or email, or from someone coming to your home, right? So there's door selling scams where people will come and offer you something that, it either doesn't work or it's just not good. Fake websites, as we talked about. The big one is the prize draws and foreign lottery scams, right? Congratulations, you won $1 million from whatever country that I've never heard of, and all I need to do is pay $1,000 processing fee, and I can get it. Okay, it's a scam. Okay, phone calls we talked about, miracle health cures and subscription traps. That's what my thing there, even though it's perfectly legal. And then through emails. So the big one is the prizes, right? They may tell you that you want a big prize, but you have to pay taxes or a fee to get it. I'm sorry? I know. It could be true, right? Yeah. The thing is that sometimes, even if it's a small fee, you kind of think, okay, yeah, I mean, what's $5 or whatever, and then you do it and you realize, like, okay, why did I do that? But think about it. If they do that for every 10 emails that they send out, if one person does it and they do that 20 times a day, that's $100 for them, right? And for you, it's like, okay, it's just $5, but you got ripped off. Okay. If you win a lottery or prize, you never have to pay taxes or fees on money you won. So in Canada, okay, you don't have to pay taxes. You may fill out a ballot for a contest or a draw that is a fraud. The information on the ballot will be used to contact you. Okay, money deals. So the scammers may say you can get a guaranteed loan at a low interest rate, even with no credit history or a poor credit history. And again, as we talked about in lesson 3, that you got to be careful about that. There's something not right there. They may say they need someone to help you with a business deal. They may say that they have lots of money that they need to transfer to Canada. They may say that you can buy an investment that will make a lot of money with no risk. There's always risk whenever you invest money. Then there's the whole thing about job scams. So this is one where you want to be very careful because they go prey against people that may not know the system, let's say in Canada, or people that are looking for jobs, and you're susceptible to that. So the scammers may offer you a job. Part of the job is to put payments through your bank account. If you're putting payments through your bank account, the money may come from crime. They may say you can earn easy money or get rich quickly. They may offer a lot of money to work from home. Okay. They may say that you can make a lot of money by selling door to door or to friends or family. If you need to buy a lot of inventory, things to sell at the beginning, or if they say you can make money by getting other people to join, be careful. Okay, so there's legitimate, multi-level marketing companies, but there's also regulations about those multi-level marketing companies, and these are some of the things that the regulations talk about, where you don't have to buy $3,000 worth of inventory to start, where you don't have to get people to join or get paid a lot of money if people join, because that's how they make money. Okay? There may be people who say how much money they make, but they're part of a scam. Okay, so then you look at fake checks. If you're getting payment for something you are selling or renting, only accept a check that is for the right amount. Scammers may send you or give you a check for a higher amount and ask you to give money back for the rest. If the check bounces, you would lose your money. And if their check is fake, your money is gone by the time you find out. When you deposit a fake check in the bank, you become liable for the amount of the check too, so you have to pay the bank back. Okay, so you got to be very careful about that. Okay, then there's threats. So threats come in the form of, they may say that if you need to answer now or you will lose your chance. Right, that's always a big one. Okay, if you don't buy this thing right now, you're going to lose the opportunity, and it's too bad. Right? They may say that you will lose your account if you don't answer, just like the email on this, from the government of agency there. You're going to lose your refund if you don't respond to this right away. You can't lose your refund. Okay. Sometimes they pretend that they need money to help people who are sick. Okay, so what are some safety tips for fraud? Never click on a link in a scam email, since your computer could be attacked by a fraud website. Don't answer the scammer. If it's a telephone call, just hang up. You don't have to get it. If you're unsure of something, just ask for a phone number and say, I have to go to the bathroom, whatever, right? And then call them back if you want to call them back. If it is a telephone, just hang up. Never send any money or valuables. Don't fill out ballots for contests or draws if you don't know the company. Be careful when you meet people on the internet. You don't know who they really are. Okay. If you get a check that you think may be a fraud, give it to the police. For example, if someone sends you a check and asks you to send part of it back by money order or a wire transfer, give the check to the police. Okay. So hopefully they'll talk to us about that next week, but that's part of a scam. Don't sign a contract in a hurry. Take time to think about it. Okay, so problems with fraud. If you are a victim of fraud or identity theft, call your bank, credit card company, and the credit agency in this case right away. They will put a fraud alert on your file. Report it to the local police. Keep notes on what happened, the names of the people you tell about the fraud. Keep any papers about the fraud. If the bank or credit card company say you are responsible, call this number. It's the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada. If you get a fake email or telephone call, you can tell the organization. You can tell the organization and the police, and then we've got the RCMP number there. Okay. If it's an international scam, you can contact a partnership with the RCMP, which is called recall.ca. Okay. So this is the Canada Revenue scam that we were talking about. So look at these numbers. So in 2014, 136 victims. And these are only people that have reported. So think about the people that don't report it, and that number is larger, consisting of $300,000. In 2015, over 750 people, $2.5 million lost. 2016, just in the first 6 months of 2016, $2.5 million. So what's happening there? Huh? It's increasing all the time. It's becoming more prevalent, and more people are doing it, and that's why these things continue. So if you Google right now IRS or CRA scam, you'll actually see just in the last few months people that are reporting that they're getting defrauded this way, right? So be very careful. Okay. If you get a fake email or telephone call, you can check to see if the organization has a warning about fraud on its website. Again, open a new browser. The website will tell you what to do if you're given your personal information. Okay? So how do you protect your identity? Leave extra identity cards at home. We talked about that. Only give your SIN number when it is needed. Have a PIN that's difficult to guess. Don't write your PIN down anywhere. Use your hand to block other people from seeing your PIN. Excuse me. Sign the back of a new card right away. And when you get a new card, the other card, cut it up and throw it away right away. You don't need it. Watch your card or your debit or credit card when it's being used. Keep your bank receipts, like I said. Check your bank and credit statements. Check your credit reports once a year minimum. Shred your documents. Don't give personal information over the phone. Look for the closed or unbroken key on websites. Log off, clear the cache, and close the browser window. Have anti-spam and antivirus software on your computer. Don't email personal information. Look out for phishing and vishing scams. And get someone to take care of your mail when you're away. So if you have mail that's coming to your mailbox, make sure that someone gets that. Okay, any questions on fraud and scams? No? Okay. I'm sorry?
It's scary.
Yeah, it is scary, right? And you got to be very careful and don't feel foolish if you've been scammed because it has nothing to do with you. You just got to be very careful and people are coming up with new ideas on how to scam people all the time. And like I said, especially a lot of you folks that come from different countries that don't know how things work here, sometimes it's easily, you can be susceptible to that. So you got to be very careful. Okay? Yeah. 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 I did that a couple of months ago. I phoned, it was an email, and I phoned it because it had to do with my Norton antivirus. And they wanted $150 to do a check on my computer. And I'm thinking, okay, no, this doesn't sound right, right? So I was playing along and saying, okay, where are you from? And, and it goes, well, you have to give us $150 as a service fee first. Well, Norton doesn't work that way. Microsoft doesn't work that way, right? And so I could tell that it was a scam. And then finally the guy just gave up because he knew I wasn't going to do anything. So they'll use names of companies that you think, okay, are legitimate, but are not, okay? Okay, let's take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back and do a review. How you doing? Oh, yes, I took it. Last week, okay. So you're going to do last week's one more.
No, I haven't. I'm just gonna.
Okay. So I can read it? It's okay. Okay. So did you get how to do it? Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. But do they have it for, what I was getting at the other day is they don't have it, like, let's say for plumbers. Do they have it? They don't have it, let's say. That's what I was thinking, because if you get a client, let's say a plumber, right? You're going to have to take them through it to get the card. Whereas if you go to GoDaddy, right? And let's say you're a plumber, and you just put in your name and push a few buttons, and it creates a website for plumbers. Yeah. Yeah, but you can make as many changes as you want to. It's pretty slick, right? Once you get on it and see it, and the power of it, things that you can put on it. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah, you only nine pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Five pictures is dark.
I'm gonna thank
Two pictures with shoe. Yes, like that. And two pictures. A little good, but it's not. Yeah. Sorry? Yeah, so you have, yes, you have my email. No, I have no, your.
You don't makes a good one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so you take my email and send it to pictures.
It's a bird. Watch those birds.
Okay. So what you have proper pictures, so you send it to
You know that if you put your picture, you can't change your mind. You understand that?
and you have. So you also send, I am reading a picture, but I send it to you. Yeah. Okay.
Is it chicken or
Yeah.
pork?
You have a picture.
Yeah.
Nadia has a proper picture. Okay.
Oh, we need to.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, it's not.
Where
Good
did you
picture.
get it?
No, it's not. Look at that. It's really dark. No. Yeah, it's
You would know better.
People always bring, people bring.
I would like to see it. Oh, it's like that. That picture. Yeah, that. Yeah. No, it's great. No, it's dark. That I'm showing the picture is pixels. So it's iPhone picture is good. The last three picture, you and last one, it means it's a whole head there, but it's one guy. Yeah, it's a little bit same. Sorry? No, you have my picture. Yeah, that one is good. Yeah, you send.
I'm gonna bring the same thing.
So I need to find something.
Three and a half a castle.
Yes, I think it's.
What do you mean? No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Taste stuff that you wouldn't never taste, right?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's only one picture you sent. Just jump down my jaw.
Something that goes karma is something that goes round and round.
That's the reason it's not
And then the next one was what?
No.
So I have.
Yeah, I told my coaches also, she really made perfect person.
I don't know, after between two.
No. They really like.
What? No, bring it. Bring it.
Veggie.
At the multicultural expo? When it was Fort Whiteman, we were at the area.
Got the chips for free because they were barcoded wrong.
Really?
It scanned us 20 cents more. And so I talked to her. And we went and looked, and the price I had said was different than what it actually was, but it was still wrong. And then so we go back, and she's mentioning all these things. She's like, "Do you guys honor the barcode policy?" She's like, "Yes, that's what I'm trying to do." She gave it to me for free. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
See?
No hassle or anything.
You're learning something.
Yeah. It only took 2 years.
Yeah, well, some people take longer to.
Yeah.
Supposed to work. And if they're not, you just call the supervisor.
Yeah, I think she was like the shift supervisor, so she was like, yeah. Jello salad for the last minute.
This is a good idea. Put it up.
That's perfect.
What is she bringing?
Jello salad.
Oh, okay.
We need something Canadian.
Yeah, it's not ambrosia though.
Oh yeah, that would have a hint of ethnicity to it.
Extra.
Tomorrow, she wasn't here. But there's an email, but she doesn't have.
Extra.
Oh, that's why. She doesn't make the phone call. I think she has printed one.
Over here.
Oh, she has it. Yeah.
Oh, she has it?
Oh, there.
The multiple streams thing.
Yeah.
Here you go.
One now. There. There's the color. Sorry. Yeah, she's not in the email.
How about those?
So.
I'll cut Tuesday.
Whichever. Even if you don't write it, just bring it.
Where am I? Lebanon, right?
We're not gonna do an audit.
Yeah,
No. This is the first time that we're writing it down. Usually we just say, we don't know what's gonna come. Right?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yes, we just,
That's right. We're always surprised. But you know what? It always works out. There's always enough desserts, always
there's
enough.
always like more.
And there's always more food than we ever eat. Right? So,
So bring containers.
yeah, that's a good idea.
I tried Zoom. I didn't try. I didn't try.
You can do a lot of things.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea that our CMP. I thought about it. Hard to do, but I just called them yesterday. They said, well, we can't come tomorrow night because they short notice.
Email you had to.
Well, the email wasn't working. I got bounced back. It said the delivery status was.
That's good.
So I called the number.
Do you know who it is?
Yeah. I can't remember the name. I think it's a guy. And I thought it would be a problem because it's at night. They said, no, it's okay. They have a community division.
And we've got the thing for speak up.
But here, cookies disabled. What's this mean? I use the word. I need to download the book.
Okay, you guys want to take your seats and we'll continue. We already got a good menu going. So just so you know, if you change your mind, don't worry. You can bring something else. Don't feel like you have to stick to that, because I know people might change their mind. This is the first time that we've done this where we've written everything down. Usually we just have everybody bring whatever, and there's always more than enough food. Bring a little container, because just in case you want to take some home that you didn't have a chance to try, because chances are you won't be able to eat everything that is around the table. So bring a little container. Okay. So just before we go on the review, I was just talking to Jamie here, and she was telling me that she got her chips free.
Yep.
So tell us how she got her the chips free.
Did you talk to
I
in this
did.
class? So do you guys remember the barcode scanning policy?
Yeah.
So I went to Save on Foods and I got those chips there. I went up to the till and it said $5.99, and I said, pretty sure the sign said $5.49. So she walked over there with me and it was the wrong tag. Then when we went around the corner, it said $5.79, so it was 20 cents different. So we go back to the till and she's punching in all the things, and I said, do you guys honor the barcode policy? She's like, yes, that's what I'm doing. So we got the chips for free today.
Wow.
See? It helps to apply what you learn. Right? Okay. So again, that's, again, it's sometimes it's innocent, and sometimes they do it on purpose. You don't know, but that's a form of a scam, right?
Yeah.
Because think about it. For every person, like I said, if you don't remember the price of the chips when it's going through, you just whatever, right? For every person that brings it up, there's 9 people that don't, right? And like I said, always go. Did you go back the next day to see if you can get another?
I got it today.
Oh, you went, okay, go back tomorrow. You got to go tomorrow. Or all of you guys should go tomorrow.
Save on Foods on Franklin Ave.
Take a picture of that before you go home.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, just go right away because don't give them time to change it. You get your free talking. Okay, so we're gonna just do a little bit of a review here. So let's start off with banking. Was there anything in banking that people had questions on? Does everybody remember the CDIC? What is that? Without looking at your books.
There's a maximum guaranteed amount for TFSA and our.
No, it's got nothing to do with TFSA. Yeah, it's an insurance against any banks that go under in Canada. They're going to give you up to $100,000 if you lose it through a bank in Canada. It's called deposit insurance. Okay, so that's good to know. Okay, but I can't even remember the last time a Canadian bank went under because they're so regulated. Okay, so not much on banking. Pretty basic. Like I said, make sure that you check your bank statements every month. Make sure that your bank account is meeting your needs, right? Because you may be paying more fees than you should. So always make sure that you understand that. So let's go to budgeting, because budgeting was kind of a foundational lesson in terms of financial literacy. Anybody done a budget since we talked about it?
I do.
Okay, so Myrna?
I did, because I'm just trying to look at my, I have a business.
Right.
So I was just like trying to see what's the budget, what's the cost. So I've been working on it like for 2 weeks now.
Good.
So, but it's helping like to see the numbers really expense and how much like you're making and what was the cost of everything.
Good. Anybody else? Okay, what app are you using? Mint? Yes.
Mint.
Very good. Very good. Very good. It's called Mint. Okay, and are you finding it pretty tedious, easy? How are you doing?
But the only thing is that they ask access to your bank accounts so that they can tell you whether you're going on groceries
Okay,
or whatever you set as parameters.
okay,
But it's pretty good. It tells you, hey, you're going, whatever, $50 more this month compared to the last month.
excellent. So you don't even have to track it like I used to do when I was small or young, not small. Okay,
It's pretty good.
RBC has that.
okay. RBC has, a lot of the banks have budgeting tools. Okay,
So you can see how much is deposited and how much is out and how much is saving.
right. Excellent. Anybody else?
I did my own spreadsheet. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because you like there and
Yeah, so continue to do that because that's how you get control over your spending. And it makes you think twice about when you know that you've spent whatever, let's say $200 on Starbucks, it makes you think twice about the next time you're craving a coffee and going to Starbucks, right? But more importantly, it helps you in your planning so that you can do some of the other things that we talked about around investments like TFSAs and RSPs, if you know where your money's coming in and money's going out, right? Okay, good. So let's talk a little bit about anything else on budgets. Yeah, the thing that I like about budgets is it helps create your goals, kind of going in the future. But if you don't know where you are, you're not going to know where you want to go. And that's one of the basic steps. And for those of you that go into level 2, the second lesson, determining your net worth, we always talk about, okay, where are you today in terms of your financial position? And because that's how you kind of know whether you're going to be moving on and getting a higher kind of net worth when it comes to finances. Okay. So let's talk about credit. That was a really good lesson because I think for most people, they've never seen a credit report. And for most individuals, especially if you're coming here new to Canada, You probably didn't even know that there's that type of service. But the credit report is one of the most important kind of tools that you can use, and that will be used for you to get credit. And if that's the case, you want to make sure that that is clean all the time, that the information there is correct. But what happens is that people don't look at that. And if someone steals your identity, like I said, they could be getting loans on your name and not paying them back. And that shows up on your credit report. Okay. They could be getting a credit card in your name, not paying it off. Now, it doesn't last very long, because if you don't pay it, the credit card company closes it. But in the meantime, there's a record that you haven't paid that. Okay? So your credit report is very important. Treat it like a live document, because that's what it is. And you want to take a look at it at minimum of twice a year. And if you get their monthly subscription, I think we talked about it here, be careful, because they're going to charge you every month. And you don't really need to see it every month unless you've got a lot of things going on. So you don't need to get that thing and pay $250 a year. Go ahead.
I talked with him twice, last month and this month, and still charging me. I changed all the plan for the credit card.
I don't understand. You talked to the credit agency?
Visa card. The agency, and I told them I don't need this
service. Which agency is it? Equifax?
Yeah. And after that, we're supposed to change all the, because it's coming packaged with the Visa card. I changed all the plan and packaged with Visa card, and still charge me.
Which TD Bank? Phone the TD Bank. Yeah, go through TD and say you.
Yeah, I changed all the plan, all the package for Visa card. So each Visa card, when you upgrade, you have the plan for Protect, and they have some.
Oh, okay, you're in that type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you have to do it for a year, and then you can change it, or what?
She said, "Tell me, yeah, you can cancel it now." She doesn't cancel it.
I don't understand that. Go talk to the supervisor or the manager.
That does happen sometimes. I feel like you just have to have the right representative. Just keep calling and have another one. I had similar issues with that one.
Yeah, because remember, they get paid by. Whenever you want to cancel something, the call center is trained to talk you out of it, right? Yeah. So if you're very okay, I'll do it for another. Forget it. Just say no. I don't want it. Do you understand? I said no. Can you cancel? Now, if you've made a commitment that you have to keep it for a year, that's different, because then you got to wait. But if you can cancel it, don't get off the phone until they cancel it for you.
I'm supposed to be sent for me a new visa because I have a new plan.
Yeah.
Doesn't send for me anything.
Okay, well, you got to call. I'm surprised, because TD is fair. The banks are pretty good when it comes to that kind of stuff in terms of, if you want to get off, you just get off. But take it to the next level. Just say, I want to talk to your manager, your supervisor. Okay? But on credit, very important. Don't underestimate that, and get your credit history in shape before you go out asking for credit. Because what ends up happening is people go for credit and they get denied, and the bank will say, you know what, you're a credit risk because of this, this, and this, and then you're saying, oh wow, well, what I do. So don't wait. Okay, but if you never look at your credit report, you'll never know. Okay. The next lesson we took was income tax. So income tax is always an interesting lesson. If you go to page where the tax tables are, page 135. Okay. So obviously you don't have to memorize this, but it's important to know very quickly how to read the tax table. And as you can see, for 2018, it ranges from 25%, which is the lowest, all the way to 48%. Okay? And in Canada, we have what's called a what? A Is it a regressive, progressive, or a flat? Progressive, right? The more you make, the more tax you pay on that next dollar of income. Okay? And if you remember, if you notice, whatever the income is, income tax is, if you make that money as a capital gain, you only pay tax on half of that. So that's why, we always encourage people to get into investments, because by generating capital gains, you only get taxed on half of that. Okay, and on page 134, remember Tax Freedom Day? What's Tax Freedom Day? Excellent. It's the day that you start working for yourself. Because up to that day, you've been working for the government. And if you look at the page there on 134, you'll see that many provinces just hit Tax Freedom Day this month. Alberta is actually the best, back in May. The good news is we've been working a month for ourselves. Isn't that cool this year?
I have a question. So that means there will be no deduction of tax?
No. They always take the deduction all throughout the year. It's just that if you had to pay all the taxes up front, it's a calculation that says that you have to work till May 23rd, for example, in Alberta, to pay all the taxes. Okay, but no, the deductions come off every pay.
Every paycheck.
Yeah.
It's just a total.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's usually a CPP, EI and CPP. Okay. So once you hit the maximum that you've contributed, so depending on your salary and your employment income, typically in June or July, you've hit the maximum. So now there's no more deductions for CPP. So you see a kind of a pay raise, if you will. Okay.
That's why my husband was wondering one time, like last year.
Yeah.
He said that I don't know why they are not deducting some of my stuff.
Now, don't tell them the secret. Just take the extra money. Go spend it.
Really?
Ask them how much the difference was, and then just go spend it.
Wow.
You won't miss it. Okay, so yeah, the tax one is a really good lesson, because I think, again, if you want to become financially literate, you have to understand how taxes work. You don't have to understand everything about taxes or how to prepare your tax return, but you have to understand the basics of when you make income, how it's taxed, right? And a little bit about deductions. We talked a little bit about northern residency deductions up here in Fort McMurray, those type of things. Important to know. Okay, any other questions on taxes?
Maybe one just to prepare.
Sure.
When it comes to the brackets,
Yes.
and assuming you make enough to send you into the second bracket.
Yeah.
Is your total income, is that percentage applied to the total income, or is
No,
it
only to that extra. Remember, it's progressive in that you pay tax at a higher rate on that extra dollar.
And if
Okay.
you're at the fourth one, for example, then how would that breakdown look like? Just
Yeah.
on the second
So very, very quickly. So if you look at page 135, so what we're saying is that up to 46,605, everybody pays 25% on that. So let's say that everybody in this class made this amount of money, exactly that. Everybody would pay 25%. Okay? And then let's say that you make another $10,000 on top of that. Okay, that brings you to 56,605. Okay, that means that you would pay 30.5% just on this portion.
And then if you were making 205,000 or above, right, would it be like 25%, 30%?
That's right, exactly.
Or just the highest? And then
No, everybody. So you would still pay the same on this, right? Now you're going to pay 30.5% on this. Okay. Now, if you went over this tax bracket, then you would pay 36% on that. Okay. So it's always paying the next percentage on the next dollar of income. Okay. So every Canadian pays 25% on this. Okay. The only difference is that if you make $10,000 more than we do, you pay now 30.5 on this. Okay. So you pay $3,050 on this. Okay. So you're actually paying 5.5% more on that next level of income. Okay. So a bit complicated, but makes sense. And like I said, some countries have flat tax rates, so that everybody would pay whatever, 20% on, doesn't matter.
So if we make less than 46,000, we have to pay.
Well, you pay 25% on that less than 46,000. You don't pay on 46,000. You pay on whatever. So if you made $10,000, you pay $2,500 of tax. Okay. It's only when you hit this ceiling that you get bumped into paying this on the next amount of money. Okay? So if you look at it, it's really a fair system because everybody pays the same amount of tax up to a certain point. And if you make more, then you're going to pay a little bit more tax on that next bracket. Okay? Makes sense, but it's complicated, and that's what keeps the accountants busy, right? So you don't have to know everything, like I said, about tax, but you need to know the basics of tax. Okay, and then very importantly in that lesson, we talked about ways to reduce your tax, which are the RRSP and TFSA, okay? RRSP stands for what? Okay, and tax-free savings account is TFSA, okay? Okay, what are the main differences between the two?
The RRSP, you don't need to pay tax. Oh, the TFSA, sorry, the TFSA.
You don't, yeah, TFSA, you don't pay capital gains or anything on the money that it makes, okay? And an RRSP is what? You're deferring the tax, okay? So eventually you pay the tax, okay? Other major difference is that an RRSP, you get a tax deduction in the year that you make that contribution. In the TFSA, there's no tax deduction.
So TFS is better than RSP, right?
Oh, remember, we had this discussion. We had a little debate on it.
Yeah, both
So
good.
both are good. It all depends on your personal situation, right? And the way to look at the TFSA too is that this is where you want to put money that a little bit more risk, right? Because if you make a capital gain on it, you don't pay tax, right? So that's where you can put some play money into stocks and things like that you hopefully can make a lot of money in. RRSP is meant more to save for your retirement, and you're deferring the tax until you're in a lower tax bracket. Okay? Eventually, you'll pay tax on it. And does anybody know the year that you have to start the latest? It's 71. That's right. At 71, you can no longer keep deferring it. You got to start taking money out of it. But you can retire as early as 55 and start drawing on it. But if you don't touch it, because some people don't touch it because they have, let's say, a pension from their employer or they have other assets, and they just leave it in an RSP, eventually at age 71, the government says, okay, buddy, start paying us taxes. Okay? Good. So those are ways to reduce your taxes. So let's talk about insurance. Any questions on insurance? What kind of insurances are there? I guess I'll ask the questions. Car insurance?
Like health insurance, house insurance.
Health.
Health.
Home. What else? Disability. Life.
Credit insurance.
Credit. Oh yeah, credit insurance. Travel was another one. right?
Rental.
Rental, this is like home, but for renters, yeah. And the importance of having insurance.
Protect you from any kinds of,
That's right, protect you from a loss of either income or a loss of an asset, right? And obviously important to have it,
You have business.
whatever. Business, yeah, businesses have insurance too, yeah. But it's important to have it, and we learned that during the wildfire, right? A lot of people learned the hard way, because a lot of people just think that it's just another expense, because chances of you collecting on insurance, fairly low, okay? I mean, we do, but it's not something that happens all the time. So a lot of people just think, okay, you know what, it's a couple of $100 or whatever a month. I can't afford it. You don't want to play that game, okay? I'd rather pay the insurance and never have to use it than have to use it and don't have it, okay? And like I said, some people learned the hard way during the fire, and you know, it's a big loss, okay? Okay, then after insurance, we started talking about investments. So investments, again, we talked about the pyramid of investments. And like I said, who's in level 2 right now? I think there's a few. Okay, so the rest of you have an opportunity to come to level 2 in October. Yeah. So level 2, we get into a lot of investing. It's more on how to invest. Okay, so if you want to come to that, it's pretty good. You learning anything?
Yeah, lots.
Good. Excellent. The only problem is that you have homework. Doesn't matter? Excellent. That's what everybody said at the beginning of the semester in level 2. And then all I keep hearing is complaints. No, the assignments are not hard. Well, they take some time. But the whole point is for you to learn what you're taking in the class, right? Yes, excellent. Okay, so won't spend a lot of time on investments. And then we talked about.
For insurance, one question.
Go ahead.
I have my car. I have one insurance in my car, but 1 week. So make accident. So every month get up for what I pay. Like I pay for $120, I pay $200.
Okay.
So if I make accident, always my money goes up.
Your premium goes up, right? What you pay every month?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you only pay that the next time you have your insurance renewed, right?
I paid already.
You pay it already?
Yeah, I paid like $200 already. So
Okay.
It's supposed to be paid till next renew.
Yeah, so I don't know. You'd have to talk to your insurance company as to why. Because usually the next time you renew your insurance is when it goes up. So I don't know what happened. You got to talk to them. Okay, and then we talked last week about government-sponsored programs. So again, Government of Canada has a lot of programs around helping individuals, whether it's youth, whether it's to help you in your retirement, social programs. So keep those in mind. And then tonight we talked about frauds and scams, and we're going to continue that next week when the RCMP comes. But just before we go, I'm going to show a quick video on some of the things that we tend to learn in level 2. And in level 2, those of you that are in level 2, you know that we just don't talk about how to invest, but what we try to do is get you to start thinking differently. Okay, so we're just going to see a short video on that, and then we're done.
Volume.
9 things poor people do that the rich don't.
Number 9.
Sleep in. The saying goes, the early bird catches the worm. And this couldn't be more true, as a 5-year study by Thomas Corley has shown that 50% of self-made millionaires wake up at least 3 hours before they go to work. Many of these millionaires use the extra hours in order to work out, plan their days so they are more efficient, and to brainstorm new ideas. People on the poorer end of the spectrum have a tendency to sleep until the last minute and go into their days less prepared. Also, forcing yourself to wake up when you don't want to can have the added benefit of giving you more energy, as having a strict and consistent regimen allows your body to function at a higher capacity. Consistently waking up early allows you to take charge of your day. Just think of an alarm clock as the bell in a boxing match. However, a lot of poor people don't have the option of waking up early, as they are forced to work long hours, night shifts, and shifts that constantly fluctuate, making it harder for them to lock into a healthy circadian rhythm.
Number 8.
Eat poorly. The phrase, "you are what you eat," could not fit more appropriately when speaking of this big difference between the rich and poor. Getting past the notion that poor people sometimes get stuck eating bad food because, for the most part, healthier food is more expensive, or that poor people find it harder to find the time to cook from home, there is a huge link between success and a healthy diet. Eating fast food and unhealthy snacks can drain your body and mind. If you have ever eaten McDonald's breakfast, you will know that instead of feeling full of energy and ready to attack the day, it usually just makes you want to go back to sleep. Though it can be tough getting into the habit of planning meals, shopping for the right kind of groceries, and weaning off sugar, salt, and fatty foods, the end results are always worth it. Most rich people, though there are exceptions, have figured out early that they won't be able to sustain success without the proper food fueling their days. This is one improvement that doesn't require having a personal chef either, as just attempting to consistently eat better foods or eating on a healthy schedule can have instant results.
Number 7.
Skip exercise. A recent study shows that 76% of rich people exercise half an hour or more every day. This fact goes hand in hand with the other topics of rich people being healthier all around. One of the main reasons that more successful people exercise more is because they know that in order to be fully focused and ready for the day, the body and mind have to cooperate. Exercising can also help you to deal with stress and solve problems with the full working capacity of your body. If you are feeling sleepy or sluggish, exercise can wake you up and help you to continue on at full strength. Access to gym memberships, personal equipment, and the ability to take part in leisure activities that may be too expensive for the poor does play into the rich being able to stay in better shape. But anyone can work out without those things, and doing it can work wonders. Adding daily exercise of even just half an hour can increase your productivity and help you to stick to your schedule and reach your goals.
Number 6.
Watch TV. According to Thomas Corley's book, Rich Habits, 67% of wealthy people watch less than an hour of television a day, as opposed to 23% of poor people. This could be due to the fact that successful people know that television is a distraction from achieving goals and replace the time with more productive habits. It could also be a result of the fact that rich people tend to have their hands in more than one business, so they don't have the time to watch television. The study also shows that poor people tend to watch less quality television than rich people, as there is a significant amount of poor people that watch reality shows. Dedicated sports fandom and video games are another type of escapism that the rich don't necessarily participate in on the levels that the poor do. As the rich usually have easygoing lifestyles where they can meet success in real life, one can see why they don't feel the need to hang on to the hopes of their team winning or beating a level in a video game to feel a sense of accomplishment. But no one can blame those who haven't reached financial success for enjoying sports, television, and video games, because sometimes it is impossible to climb the ladder with so many obstacles, some that are put in place by the rich in everyday life. Poor people may need to take refuge in these things to distract themselves from their everyday struggles and avoid depression.
Number 5.
Dwell on problems. One of the biggest differences between the mindsets of financially successful people and those that aren't is that successful people don't dwell on their problems. When a person who is strong of mind and a go-getter comes upon an obstacle, instead of trying to avoid it or sulking in their misfortune, they attack it head-on. Some of the most successful people have faced some intensely adverse situations in their lives, and the way they dealt with them through innovation and positivity left them as better equipped to handle seemingly less important situations in business. Sometimes a problem that comes into a person's life can even be the moment that sparks the successful person's rise to glory. There are many stories of rich people who started off broke, or who had terrible events in their lives that forced them to become great or crumble under the pressure. Less successful people have a tendency towards being self-defeating and drown themselves in negativity. This is a big reason why alcoholism and addiction is more common among the poorer classes. Procrastination is a common affliction of those who have the capacity for financial success. Putting something off can lead to a snowball effect of problems that becomes insurmountable, whereas successful people try to stay ahead of the game and even plan for problems that may occur in the future.
Number 4.
Don't read. Financially successful people are found trying to constantly improve themselves, and one of the biggest ways a person can do this is by reading. Surveys of the rich versus poor have shown a dramatic difference in their reading habits. Whereas the poor spend more time in aforementioned escapist hobbies such as television, the rich devour books by the truckload. Take, for instance, Warren Buffett, who will spend up to 80% of his day reading, and Bill Gates, who makes it a point to read at least 50 books a year. Though these two extreme examples might have a little more time now that they have already achieved such resounding success and no longer have to do hard labor, they probably developed these habits before success, and there is still a lesson to be learned from them. Reading can help to focus your mind, upgrade communication skills, and help you to learn from others' mistakes, whether fictional or non. Two of the most popular types of books that are read by rich people are biographies and self-help books. Reading biographies is a way to live vicariously through another and help to deal with one's tribulations by learning how they did or where they failed. Self-help books are just another testament to how successful people are constantly looking inward and trying to improve themselves, instead of being satisfied with their current status.
Number 3.
Forget to invest. Now, investing is hard if you don't have any money to begin with, but some of the richest people in the world weren't always able to put aside large chunks of dough like they can now. Many successful people began investing little by little, whether it was just investing in themselves by putting any extra money into their ideas, or not spending unless the purchases they made were working to their advantage. One of the biggest reasons that poor people remain poor is by overspending in the moment and hoping for a future bailout that never comes. Credit cards can be a dangerous trap and may even exist only to further the gap between the rich and poor. The instant gratification of being able to pay for something now with future money can be a hard thing to overcome, especially in the materialistic world we live in. This aspect is what credit card companies thrive off of, and the interest rates of a credit card that is incorrectly managed can lead to devastating future hardships and the inability to get loans when a person really needs it. Rich people tend to only use a credit card when the card is working for them, and they know they already have the money to pay it off. In fact, studies show that most rich people carry an average of one credit card, whereas poor people tend to carry multiple. Poor people also tend to involve themselves with less responsible investments, such as gambling or the lottery, hoping for the improbable prospect of instant riches via luck, instead of slowly cultivating long-term wealth.
Number 2.
Live in chronic pain. Kaiser Health News reported in 2010 that the percentage of people who experience daily pain is doubled in those living below the poverty line. This may be due to holding more physically demanding jobs and harsher living conditions. Living in chronic pain can be a catch-22 in which those who want to get better jobs and be more successful are unable to do so because of their pain and the inability to function at full strength, which in turn relegates them to being stuck in the same physical jobs that cause the pain, health insurance that doesn't cover the help they need, or a wage that isn't enough to sustain a healthy life. In opposition to the aesthetic mirage that rich take better care of themselves is our paradoxical culture where the higher earning jobs usually involves less physical labor, so it's no wonder that the rich are generally more pain-free. That being said, another place where successful people invest where unsuccessful people don't is in personal health care. To make sure that unforeseen physical problems and the medical expenses that come with them don't put them in the red, rich people put money aside for worst-case scenarios. Statistically, rich people also visit their physician more frequently for checkups. Where a poor person might avoid going to the doctor to avoid bills until they have serious medical issues, the rich have the foresight and luxury of grabbing the bull by the horns and making sure they are in peak condition in order to prevent ailments. In addition, the lower class has an especially hard time paying for specialists that the rich take for granted, such as chiropractors and psychologists, which only perpetuates the cyclic trap of pain and depression in the poor. Untreated medical conditions can result in people turning to drugs or alcohol, and addiction is one of the quickest ways to the poorhouse.
Number 1.
Resent teamwork. Most of the richest people in the world didn't get there on their own. They networked and teamed up with other very successful people in order to achieve something great. As easy as teamwork sounds, many people find it difficult to put aside their own ideals in favor of what could be a better idea or the direction others want to move in. A common link between self-made millionaires is their ability to mesh the ideas of others into innovation and keeping a positive work environment where everyone's voice can be heard. Studies have shown that a high percentage of poor people, if given a choice to work alone or with a team, will choose to work alone. This stubborn independence is a major factor in some of the poor people's ability to be leaders or to move up in the workplace. People who would rather work independently are less efficient if working in management roles because they either try to do everything themselves or they view any work or idea by their employees to be inadequate. The financially unsuccessful people also have a propensity towards blaming others for their problems or things that were their fault. On the flip side, some of the most successful people take responsibility for their actions and admit when they've made a mistake, showing time and time again that the secret to self-growth is being able to look at oneself objectively.
This is an... Okay, any comments on that? I'm sorry?
9 things.
9.
Yeah.
9 things.
9 things poor people do that rich don't. And when you say rich and poor, we're not just talking about, okay, like, you know, money. We're talking about, if you think about it, it's about poor up here, right? Okay, it's not financially. One of the things that really struck me is that out of those 9, only 1 have to do with actually managing money, which is to invest. You notice that the other 8 all have to do with lifestyle and up here. Okay? Any other comments?
Yeah, for exercise, like if you have stress in your life on the roads that have make exercise swimming, all the stress goes up.
That's why exercise is good. And again, you don't have to go to the gym, because when people start doing things that are complicated, it gives them an excuse not to do it, right? But as you saw, you can do exercise just in your own home. You can use your body weight instead of buying weights. Just use your body weight. Exactly. Get 2 cans of beans and start. Okay. But yeah, exercise is important, right? What else? Anything else?
Two studies I was watching one time saying people who sleep in is better than things like that. Then the way that one chemical is wake up early is better.
Yeah.
So it's always that sometimes you have 2 different ideas, 2 different disagreement and agreement on stuff. So now they're saying waking up early is good.
Yeah, no, I think what they're trying to get at is that you need to get sleep because your body needs rest. Okay, so we're not saying that people have to get by with less hours of sleep. It's just that you're getting enough sleep, but you're waking up early so that you're becoming productive, right? Because sleeping is very important. You need it to recharge. It's like exercise, right? Okay, anything else? Go ahead.
So I'm cooker, I'm chef.
Right.
So for budget, for your health, for everything, make menu every month.
Yeah.
For all kind for food. Like if you want like make junk food in your menu.
Yeah.
But another day make veggie, another make fish, another day make steamed food.
Yeah.
So I tried like for 2 months, 3 months. My health better.
Exactly. It's all about planning, and it all has to do with, doesn't mean that you can never eat pizza, you can never eat junk food. It's just that you shouldn't do it every day. Because if you do it every day, like it says, it draws on your body, right? Because there's a lot of chemicals in there. And they say that people that actually make their own meals are always healthier, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
like Sunday, it's my cheat day.
Yeah.
I do everything.
Yeah. Right. And it's okay to have one cheat day or one cheat meal, right? Okay. Good. So anyway, that's sort of the things that we try to do in level 2, is talk not only about how to do investments, but getting your mind right. Because if you don't have your mind right, all this stuff is just extra information that we talk about, right? I read a really good quote this week that says that if it was all about the information, we'd all be multimillionaires and have rock hard abs. Okay, let me repeat that. If it was all about the information, we'd all be multimillionaires and have rock hard abs. It's not about the information, it's about consistency in those type of habits that gets you to your not only financial success, personal success, relationship success, and those things like that. Okay? Good. So next week we'll finish off, like we said, with the RCMP and have the grad, and don't forget to bring the food because I'll be hungry. Okay. Great. Thank you. Have a good week.
Thank you.